It's Friday. You know what time it is. Frontrunner Podcast Collective is back on the air. I am your humble host, Vince, and today we have a exciting podcast for you. We're going to talk about a lot of the teams' mid-season grades. We're going to get into some of the trades and what happened and who did what and what does it all mean. But beforehand, and so we have a lot to get to today, but let's kind of give you kind of my thoughts on how everything has been going on. We had trades, we had almost trades, theoretical trades, we had trades that look like they might be future trades, we have concept trades, and then finally we had actual trades. This is what I've been rocking on lately. Today's menu is stacked. Phoenix, is it going nuclear? Having dangled Kevin Durant out to Golden State, panic move. Jimmy Butler actually going to the Warriors. And the Hawks are either retooling for the future with Trae Young, or are they making moves for a post-Trae Young team? That's all going to be on the pod today. I can't wait to get to it. The first front-running thought of the day. One, we are looking at right now, because of what has gone on over the trade deadline. Now, we've let all the smoke clear, and you go like, well, Vince, how are you going to attack this trade deadline when you didn't speak upon it when it was happening? Well, here's the thing. One, we are all Mac. Now, this technology change is here. That's the first and foremost thing. It took me a while. I'm old. Give me a second. We've come up with an entertaining and informative way of looking at this trade deadline, and we hope that you guys enjoy what we have for you and enjoy this Friday vibe that we got going. So let's get into it. How we're doing this is that post trade deadline, there are 4 players that FRPC believes that in the summer we will be talking about extensively in rumors, in trade scenarios and what have you. And we want to give you the 4, and we also want to give you the whys and why nots and what could possibly in our expansive imagination could happen. The first player on this list is no surprise at all, the used to be oracle of this podcast on the possibility of Kevin Durant getting traded. You know, we heard the rumors of Phoenix offering KD to the Warriors at the deadline, but I have sources that tell me they had been peddling KD out for a week prior to the deadline without KD's knowledge or his agent's knowledge. If you're dangling KD out there, it's a sign that the marriage might be over. So to me personally, KD is an 8.5 out of 10 on the possibility meter of moving. Here's why. Despite his age, Durant remains a top tier 29 point per game scorer. He has shoots 63% true shooting percentage, and he's just an offensive anchor. You can drop him in any situation. It doesn't matter whether you need him to be the lead scorer, the secondary scorer. KD fits every team. Also, you can't teach 7 feet and guard skills. I mean, I know he says he's 6'10". I know that's what he's been telling people forever. But we all know that KD is 7 feet tall. Stop tripping. Now, can the Suns fix this? Well, here's the problem. The Suns can't surround him properly or mend fences. So they're going to have to flip him. And here's the problem that I see going forward. KD's 36 now. He'll be 37 next year. Next year will be the last year of the contract. What are you exactly getting for KD? So when you put him on the trade block a week prior to the trade deadline, what was the calculations in that room? Who was pulling the trigger on this situation? Who said, okay, well, what happens if we can't get what we want, or the deal is contingent on another deal that the team is doing, and how could this backfire in our face down the road? Did anybody account for that situation? Because here is what the picture that I want to paint for Phoenix Suns fans. We have a little respite right now. It is Valentine's Day. I hope you are with your lover today. I hope you are spending time getting the roses, getting the daffodils, getting the tulips, whatever it is that you get your lady friend or your male friend. I don't know, however the roles need to be taken care of. That's y'all business. But soon we will have the second half of the year. And I think we could all relate to this. Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant are the leaders of that team. Where they currently rank right now, they're in the play-in. It will be up to them whether this team makes a push towards the upper echelon of the Western Conference or not. It's a stacked West. You're going to have to play not just your role. You're going to have to expand your role to get your team to where it needs to be if you expect to do anything of note in the playoffs. So my question to Phoenix Suns fans is, do you see this happening? Is this something that you can go ahead and say, hey, we're here. This is what we're doing? Because if you can't, if this is what it's going to be, this is going to be a miserable existence for everyone involved. By the way, they fired Frank Vogel after one season, and that's a championship winning coach. You brought in Mike Budenholzer to give this offense some sort of upgrade, and it's worse than it was last year. And I'll leave you with this. And this is where KD lost his Oracle privileges, if you need to know. But if my man changes teams again, KD changes addresses more than a traveling DJ does. If you see the Suns front office fumbling, best believe KD is checking flight schedules out of Phoenix. Guaranteed. They fumbled the bag. My guy is good as gone. So whether he's a Miami Heat, whether he clans up with somebody else, does he go to Houston and go to that huge, well, we'll get to it right now because I got the potential fits right here. First and foremost, let's talk about this first thing. John Krasinski of The Athletic is a great writer. He gives us great insight into the Timberwolves all the time. Now, on good authority, John says that Minnesota put in a bid for KD. But could you imagine KD and Frontrunner Podcast Collective new Oracle, Anthony Edwards? That's right. You hear it here first. This is an exclusive. Ant Edwards is the new spirit animal of Frontrunner Podcast Collective. Congratulations to Ant Edwards. Congratulations to you, player. You are now the new spirit animal of this podcast. We love you. We love the quotes. We love how real you keep it. And we love the dunks that you put on people all the time. But could you imagine a Timberwolves team that had the Slim Reaper and then also had the competitiveness of Anthony Edwards, who gonna tell KD all the time, like, hey, old man, give me the ball, move out the way, we gonna get this dub. I can't wait for this. I want to see this. If we can make this happen, this would be incredible for me. Just content. You imagine KD and Ant Edwards together. You imagine the dual press conferences when they're sitting there on the podium and then the questions come in. You see KD just chilling, barely wanting to answer questions, and then Ant's over there with the electric smile that he has. I hope this happens. The Miami Heat, obviously we're in on this. This is something that we tell you, this without any question, that Pat Riley is always big star hunting. I don't think that Andrew Wiggins fits the bill of a big star. So you can best believe that if we're looking in the summertime and Pat Riley is 83 years of age, that's right, I said that. Pat Riley is older than former President Joe Biden. So Wrap that around your head a little bit. And that's what's running the Miami Heat right now. Okay? So that old man, I'm going to tell you right now, he is looking for a star. He's looking for immediacy upgrades on that offense. And the one person that you can bring into your organization and bring immediate upgrade to your offense is Kevin Durant. Now, I know Phoenix, you can sit there and say, well, what's happening right now? That's a toxic situation. I know he says it's not. I know he's come out publicly and says that it's not. But you can look at the demeanor on the court, and then you can, because what you're seeing right now from that team is not excellent basketball. It's not basketball that is together. It seems like there's a bunch of agendas on that team. This is what we got to look forward to for 2-3 more months. Now, a surprise entrant to the Kevin Durant sweepstakes. I am almost scared to say this team. And the reason why I'm scared to say this team, because we know that the propaganda for this team is super real. The New York Knicks have interest in Kevin Durant. KD flirted with New York City before. The Knicks actually have picks. They don't have a lot of picks, but they might have the necessary players to go back for KD. Not saying that you're going to lose Karl Anthony Towns. Not saying that you're going to lose, let's say, Mikal Bridges or even Jalen Brunson. But would you be willing to give a OG Anunoby? Now, here's the thing. Both KD and Anunoby have a marred history of injury. But if you were going to say we're fully invested in offense, we got Karl Anthony Towns. Somehow Tom Thibodeau has seen the light and he's just like, we just gonna get buckets from here on out. A 7-foot power forward who can get a bucket at any point in time in the clock, in the shot clock, is definitely worth its weight in gold. The team that we can definitely extract out of this situation for sure is the Golden State Warriors. Why? 2 reasons why. 1, they already got Jimmy Butler. Congratulations, Jimmy Butler is in the Bay. I want to know how much time Jimmy Butler spends in Oakland. Somebody needs to get to me and get me that report. How much time does Jimmy Butler spend in Oakland? That'll tell me a lot about what goes on. But the other reason is because that Steph and Kevin Durant had a conversation leading up right to the trade deadline, and basically they came away as an impasse that KD didn't feel right going back to Golden State. And can we necessarily blame KD for not wanting to go back to Golden State? Do we not remember the Draymond Green, Kevin Durant fight on the sideline? He's calling Kevin Durant all kind of names outside his name and stuff like that. What are we doing right now? It's crazy. Can't do this. So again, I think it's highly likely that Kevin Durant is out of Phoenix. Sorry to the Suns fans out there. Now, what does Phoenix want in return? I think they are going to want a near star or young cornerstone, plus a haul of first-round picks. They can't just rebuild. They still have Booker, but they need assets that they lost in trading for KD in the first place. And I think the last piece of this is that whatever the return is, I think you got to have one guy that you believe is a blue chipper. You know what I'm saying? You got to believe that this person is going to get you right. Whether it's that year or the next year, you believe that he has the talent, productivity, or the potential productivity to get you there. Now, we move on to our second dude that might be looking for a new home, and that's Trae Young. I wonder if Trae Young understood when Quinn Snyder got the job in Atlanta. Did he understand the inflection point of where the Atlanta Hawks were? Because I will tell you this, I kind of really have enjoyed how Quinn Snyder has gone about this, for sure. Because if you think about it, he got there in like the middle of the season. I think it was like right after the trade deadline 2.5 years ago. So, well, now what? It's 3 now? 3. It's now 3. Jeez. Time flies when you're having fun. But so Quinn Snyder gets there. He immediately says, okay, we're going to play. We're going to see. We're going to start discerning what we got. Things like this. And one of the things that you see towards the end of the year and then at the exit interview is like, we kind of have to get Trae off ball a little bit more. We go into the next season and Trae fights it, bucks it. There's a whole DeJounte Murray situation. Your turn, my turn. All that goes on. And then DeJounte Murray gets traded. But lo and behold, when Quinn Snyder got there, there was a guy on the bench by the name of Jalen Johnson. Now, Jalen Johnson is a offensive facilitator that Quinn Snyder would like to spam even more because he's 6'9". That's a far cry from Trae Young, who is, I mean, I think we can be generous when we say that Trae Young is 6 feet, right? Like, is he 6 feet? Y'all hit me up on X at FrontRunnerPC or hit our producer up at Rhea _Funch FRPC. And if you're tired of X or Twitter, we got Blue Sky, baby. Blue Sky is available. We on that. So at FrontRunnerPC. Now our producer, she's so highfalutin, she wanted this. She has FRPC-Rhea.bsky.social. So hit us up on there. Let us know your thoughts on how Quinn Snyder has just moved this down the road. So let's get into the whole Trae Young of it all. First and foremost, the writing on the wall to me was the Hawks trading DeAndre Hunter. I mean, and basically if you look at this situation, once they traded DeAndre Hunter and also Bogdan Bogdanovic, two veteran guys who can knock down shots. Now, I know that Bogdanovic has struggled this year because of the fact that he's just been injured. But we don't think of Bogdan Bogdanovic as he gets you into good offense most of the time. So this is somebody who's a dependable offensive facilitator. At the trade deadline, those two guys are now gone. So what do you have left? Well, Jalen Johnson got hurt. He's out for the end of the year. So you thought that maybe this team would add. They subtracted. So that's part of the reason why I think that they may be retooling. And then the other part is this. Trae Young still leads the league in assists, but we know that Snyder's system emphasizes ball movement and shooting from multiple spots. Will Trae ball dominance fit or push him out? I mean, this is where we are. This has been the eternal question since the day that Quinn Snyder entered the Atlanta Hawks. It was going to be a battle of wills. Who was going to win? Was it going to be Trae and his connection to the owner's son? Or was it going to be Quinn Snyder and now newly appointed Landry Fields, who have a completely different vision for this team? It looks like the franchise is winning out. That's what it looks like. Now here's the thing. Trae is not shy about feeling underappreciated. If the Hawks keep flipping guys like Hunter, he might be on the next flight out of Hartsfield Jackson. Okay? My guy might put on his like denim jacket because he looked like the son of Albie Shore anyway. You know what I'm saying? He might be singing some love songs, like some breakup songs to Atlanta. Might have to see. Alright, let's look at the potential fits, right? These aren't like 100%, but let's try them out. Miami needs a star. If they don't get Kevin Durant, here's a guy who can. This is the one thing you can't say about Trae. He's not a great defender, but he is a facilitator of offense. He can get you offense. Now, if you had Bam Adebayo and all the wings that they currently have, maybe there's something that you can do there. Because I've always thought that if you can get Trae off ball somewhat, that his offensive diet was a little more balanced. It doesn't have to be completely balanced. We're looking at like 65-35 split. But if you can get that, I think him as a player becomes more effective, and you as a team become more successful. So I think the Heat and their no nonsense attitude that they have might be a perfect pairing for those two. And also, Bam, Trae, pick and roll offense, dynamic inside outside game, and Miami always loves a star who can drop 30. And what is Trae if not a bucket? And he's not scared of the moment, which also fits the lifestyle of Miami. And I kept him south, which is great. Now, a couple other teams to kind of think about. And I threw this out to my producer, Saraya. She almost flipped the hell out. She was so mad. And I said the New Orleans Pelicans. And her thought immediately is like, why are you trying to curse the New Orleans Pelicans? Why would you do that to them? They can't put offense on the court. Like, what are you doing? I said, whoa, hear me out. Hear me out. You put Trae in New Orleans. What is all around Trae and what actually came from New Orleans that even made me think this was Dyson Daniels? Now, I understand that Zion might not be the prototypical power forward as far as defensively wise, but he is a good rim protector. Let's not get it twisted. We can work some sort of defense that can make him more viable. But it's the other wings. It's the Herb Jones of the matter. You know, you also got Jose Alvarado to spell Trae Young, and they're the same size, basically. Jose Alvarado and Trae Young basically the same size. So you're dynamically, when you change out your guard situation, you're not really changing anything as far as the sight lines and things of that nature. So the passing lanes stay the same. Why could this work? The emergence of Yves Missi makes me think that if you got an eraser back there and you got Trae Young and now he's been traded, so he doesn't feel as empowered as he may have before, maybe he's never going to be a great defender at all. But if you can get him just to absolutely give a shit, it would be better. It would be better. Just saying. Now, people are just probably killing me right now. They're saying, like, why are you so raw on our guy, Trae Young? Because I think for the first time, Trae Young is actually trying to play good basketball. And I like to see him in a position where he could play good basketball. That's why. So that's where I'm at with that. Now, likelihood of a summer trade. I'm going to put it at a 7.5 out of 10 right now. The direction in Atlanta is very murky, especially that you know that Jalen Johnson's out for the year. Now, Snyder's offense will clarify whether they keep building around him or pivot. I think you're starting to see the writing on the wall with that right now. And I'll tell you another thing. Let's say we get outside this All-Star break, one solid, good losing streak away, and Trae Young might start subtweeting the front office. What would Atlanta get or want for Trae Young? I would think picks would be one of the things that they will want to do. I think they will want to try to stay competitive, so they would want something. I don't believe that Atlanta wants to blow it up. I think it's perfectly content with being kind of like Chicago Bulls South. Hasn't worked out for them, and they just aren't getting the opportunities that they thought they were getting, on their rookie deal or something. If we can get into the play-in and get that extra revenue of a pseudo playoff game, great. At least we're fun to watch. I haven't seen anything. Now, I know that Landry Fields and Quinn Snyder are changing the narrative around there, but until we see Jalen Johnson completely healthy and Dyson Daniels with him in that mix, I got to see it. By the way, shouts out to Onyeka Okongwu for finally getting that starting job. He's been awesome since he got that starting job. So we are super excited to see a old school Pac-12 dude doing well, even though he went to the wrong school at USC. Speaking of USC, or, adjacent to it, this is a good segue. The next person on our list of people who might leave is LaMelo Ball. Yes, you heard me. LaMelo Ball of the Charlotte Hornets. And why would I think this? I think that you got Brandon Miller, right? You drafted Trajan Saloon. You're gonna have another high draft pick this year. But if it's not Cooper Flagg, if for some reason you don't get Cooper Flagg, are you getting Ace Bailey, which is kind of duplicative of what Brandon Miller is, or do you get a all-world offensive facilitator in Dylan Harper? These are questions that you got to ask yourself. So this is probably the reason why he might be out. You know what I'm saying? Might be. Now, here's the thing. He's a walking highlight. The red flag is the health. The numbers are great because what you get from him is you get 22 and 8, and he shoots 38% from 3. But the thing about it is that he has just terrible ankles for some reason. And maybe I've been saying literally for 2 years now, go talk to Steph Curry. Like, go figure that out. Go figure your ankle situation out. Get that all squared away. Here's what I think of LaMelo. He's a flashy sports car with questionable reliability. You love to look at it, but you can't trust it to take it for a long drive, man. You can't take this, like, if you were going from Atlanta, let's say, to like Omaha, Nebraska, you ain't taking a Ferrari to do that. You getting like an SUV. My boy is into the flash. Now, who would want LaMelo Ball? Well, a lot of people will want LaMelo Ball because he's still 23 years of age, and he's one of the best lob throwers in the game. He's got crazy range. His shot selection is absolute crap, but you can fix that, right? And you can't teach 6'8" ball handling skills and the ability to look over the defense. You can't teach that. So the Orlando Magic come to mind. Why would I say that? Because the Orlando Magic need a point guard. The Phoenix Suns come to mind. I'm not saying that KD goes to Charlotte. Maybe there's a 3-team deal, whatever the case may be. I'm just saying that Phoenix needs talent, and they probably need to just reset completely. And we're going to talk a little bit about Devin Booker in a second, but because he's not he's not getting traded. I don't have him on this list, so calm down. No. And then Chicago Bulls or the Brooklyn Nets. I mean, if you're looking for a star, and Chicago hasn't had anybody since Derrick Rose, and they've been living off the fumes. So Chicago Bulls and the Brooklyn Nets come to mind for LaMelo Ball, and for this reason and this reason only. If you think about it, Brooklyn takes swings, and Sean Marks is still there, and the talent might be too tantalizing for him not to strike. And then with Chicago, Derrick Rose was an unfortunate situation. Then, Reinsdorf has been living off the fumes of Michael Jordan for years. So bringing somebody like LaMelo into Chicago would be a good move for ticket sales or eyeballs on the franchise. And we definitely know that our guy Reinsdorf cares about ticket sales, eyeballs on the franchise. I don't know if he cares about winning per se, but he does care about those two things. Now, the likelihood of LaMelo leaving Charlotte this summer, I would probably put it at like a 5 out of 10. The asset is too awesome to let go for like a low end trade. You cannot pull what I would consider a Luka Doncic situation if you're Charlotte. You got to get a bunch of picks back or good young talent back or whatever the case may be. Now, here's why the teams on the other end would be more cautious. Is because of the fact that you have the history of LaMelo's ankle and foot issues. Now, his star too is also a questionable situation. Can you beat out of him? Can you break him down enough where the shot selection gets better? And you hope and pray for that, because if you can get him his shot diet, if he's not taking 40-foot jump shots, LaMelo's percentages go way up. He just falls in love with that 40-footer with 19 seconds on the shot clock, and I have no idea why. And then here's the last thing. He's definitely a big name in a small market, so he could push for out if he really wants to, make his name somewhere else. But I think for right now, it's an asset management situation. I think it's kind of like a 50-50 situation whether he leaves or he doesn't leave. I think it's going to be to the discretion of the front office and where they feel after they know what their lottery position will be, if that makes sense. I mean, I still think of him as a top tier talent. I think that he could get you multiple firsts in a young piece. I do understand that, the other teams will take the injury considerations into it and maybe protect the picks or something, but you're not going to get out of it without multiple first rounders and a young player back, I don't think. Now, our last guy is the guy that I'm going to tell you right now. Once we say this name, aggregation is probably going to go way up. But Giannis is our last guy. Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. And here's the reason why I think this. I have no new intel about the Bucks panicking. I don't see the front office making this decision. Giannis has shown nothing but loyalty to that team. Now, he's thrown some statements in there in the last couple years that give you pause, I would say. But here's the thing. He's an MVP candidate. He's a two-way force, and he's Milwaukee's entire strategy. Like, how are we gonna win? Giannis. How are we gonna rebound? Giannis. How we are gonna push the ball in the fast break? Giannis. Who's going to help us in the half-court offense? Giannis. He's everything for Milwaukee, so why would you get rid of him? Unless it's like a perfect marriage that we just hope doesn't come to an end with an ugly divorce. And Chris Middleton is now gone. The reality is that the deconstruction of their championship team is almost now complete. One of the biggest pieces of that team is now gone. And Giannis is looking around and going like, I'm no closer to the championship than I was when I had that dude. So what happens this offseason? Well, let's talk about some of the teams that might check in with old Milwaukee. Call John Horst up and be like, hey John, how's it going? Hey, how is summer going for you? Is the golf game good, buddy? Well, you know why we're calling, right? I think the Houston Rockets will be one of the first people to make that phone call. They got a ton of young talent. They got a pile of picks. And Giannis would immediately turn them into a complete freak show and just somebody hard to deal with and an actual contender in the West. You can never count out the Miami Heat. in this situation. And the only reason I throw Miami out there, and I understand that people say, well, how are they going to do it? Well, just like the Lakers, they find a way. Now, another team that might look to make some kind of move, because let me tell you something. The PR situation in Dallas is dire. Okay? Let me tell you something. Dallas, all the people that work in the front office gotta have like extra security. Okay? All the people like Patrick Dumont, he's saying crazy stuff out here in public. Like, you don't say this stuff in public, dog. It's a PR nightmare, and you know how you can fix a PR nightmare? You get Giannis. Now, do I think they can? I think there's going to be a lot of teams that would have the capability of being able to acquire Giannis before the Dallas Mavericks would be able to. But here's the thing. If Giannis gets to the end of this season, and the way we look at this season right now, and we'll get to our power rankings a little in a second, but you look at this team, you look at all of what's going on. Is there a chance that Giannis looks around and goes, you know what? I don't know if I really want to do this. Now, I will tell you the likelihood of that. I'm going to go ahead and put it at a 3 right now. And the only reason I'm saying that is because I have not seen the playoffs yet. I can't predict the future. If I could, probably wouldn't be sitting where I'm sitting right now. I'll be sitting in like a condo that overlooks the ocean. It's probably millions of dollar view, whatever. But I can't predict the future. So, likelihood, right? Now, here's the thing. One of the reasons why the front office might even entertain the situation is that they would get a historically large haul if they would move Giannis, because they are not the Dallas Mavericks. And honestly, to tell you the truth, if it was me, I would be sitting there going like this. If I was the team, if I was John Horst, I'd be like, listen, I want all your picks. I want your best young player, and I possibly want your next born child, if that person is going to be like 6'6". Just saying. I'm gonna ask for everything. I'm gonna ask for all of it. If it's me, if I'm getting rid of the franchise. Milwaukee hadn't won a title since Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and then Giannis came around and got them a title. So if I'm moving off of him, you giving me everything you got. Everything that's not nailed down, I'm gonna want all of that, all of it. Give it all to me. All right, now we gonna wrap this up with our thoughts on on these guys, and then we're gonna get to the baseline buzz because we got some stuff to get to real quick. All right, so we think that Kevin Durant is pretty much out. We think Trae Young has a good possibility of being out. LaMelo is a 50-50 shot, and let's see where the winds blow towards the playoffs, and then we'll make our decision on Giannis, because it's going to be interesting to see how he feels after the season. So let's get to some baseline buzz, shall we? We have a lot to get to, because we got the Toronto Raptors out here spending money like drunken sailors. Brandon Ingram signed a contract with the Toronto Raptors, an extension, 3 years, $120 million. That also includes a player option for 2027 to 2028. Toronto made this move just days after trading, as they want to try to fix their half-court offense. Bobby Webster, the Raptors GM, says he's young. He's entering his prime. And by no means is he a finished product. Well, Bobby, you are the first one to say that, because we all been waiting for the real Brandon Ingram to show up. We've been asking him to take more 3-point shots in his shot diet. That still has not happened. So you are right. He is not a finished product. My question to you is it just one of those home improvement situations that never get finished? It never gets finalized? Is it one of those things when the contractor comes in and he says, well, we should have this done in 2 months, and then you look up 6 months later and it's still not done? Is it that situation? Because that's the kind of situation that New Orleans has been in with Brandon Ingram since he's been there. Now, here's the great part about Brandon Ingram. He is going to get you buckets when he is on the court. 22.2 points a game. 5.6 rebounds a game. 5.2 assists a game. He is a productive player. His injury history remains a concern. And the Raptors projected cap numbers for next year is $172 million payroll next season. Are you kidding me right now? That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. So you got Emmanuel Quickley, RJ Barrett. You got Scotty Barnes, who supposedly the team was being built around. Remember Scotty Barnes? The high first round pick a couple years ago. We're going to play through him. The offense, he's going to be the offensive facilitator. He's going to be kind of like Magic Johnson, but 21st century, that he can dunk and shoot threes and all this. Have we just scrapped that plan? Like, we scrapping that all together? Some Toronto people need to let me know what's up with that. I don't know. We do got some good news coming out of Minnesota, though. We thought it was going to happen in November of 2024. It has been a long road, but we are finally here. The Timberwolves have been now been owned by Alex Rodriguez and Mark Lowry. There seems to be a situation where the arbiter has ruled in favor of that group. Glenn Taylor, the longtime Timberwolves owner, is now out. But now let's get to the aftermath of this situation. Under Glenn Taylor's leadership, we traded Karl Anthony Towns away to the Knicks. In return, you got Julius Randle, who's pouting. You got Dante DiVincenzo, who's hurt right now, but gives you something when he is in the lineup. And you lost your superpower against Jokic, which was the 2-tower lineup with Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns. Because for some reason, Julius Randle is somehow keeping our guy, Naz Reid, at bay. Because I think their best lineup is when Naz Reid replaces Julius Randle, and he gives him that almost that dual big look again. But now we're here. And what does it mean for our new Oracle, Anthony Edwards? Right now, you see a guy who doesn't blink. Even he clinking shots all game. He's fearless with the ball in his hands, and when the clock is winding down, that swagger is a gift. But it can be a curse too. He's forcing a lot of tough looks right now, from what I've been watching. Now, he's had some 40-point games, but he's turned in some woeful shooting performances. Against the Bucks, he shot 4 of 16 from 3. But when you watch him, there's still zero hesitation. Because the one thing with Anthony Edwards is that he understood that the lane would be clogged without Karl Anthony Towns there. So he said, I'm going to shoot a bunch of threes. You're not going to deter my man Ant Edwards from getting his shots up. If I can't go dunk on somebody, I'll just shoot threes. I'll just get better at that, and then we'll figure out how it all goes. Now, if you look at the raw synergy data that backs it up, he's a star level production because he just gets shots. Edwards now leads the league in total 3-pointers made for this season. It's an incredible leap from the skepticism about his shooting pre-draft. Remember, all the scouts were like, is he going to shoot the ball well enough to be able to do what he does? Yep. Because he's a tireless worker. Now, his clutch numbers are another story. The Wolves have been a league-leading 19 clutch time losses, and his field goal percentage drops noticeably in those final minutes. The reason why is because Mike Conley Jr. has aged out of crunch time minutes. You don't have Karl Anthony Towns as a spacer. Rudy Gobert is somebody who needs to be spoon-fed lobs or handed like literally 2 feet away from the basket so he can lay it up. So he's not really an offensive driver. Naz Reid is also really dependent on you getting him shots. And we haven't really seen the growth from McDaniels that we needed to see. So without Dante DiVincenzo, they really slow played also Rob Dillingham as well. He's starting to get more looks now. He's starting to get more burn on the court now. But they really did not use him early on in the season, which I thought they would, to see what he had so he would be ready for this situation now. But now, because of necessity, he's being used. And yeah, there's days where it looks decent, and there's some days where it looks god-awful. Welcome to the NBA as a young guard. And also welcome to the NBA as a young guard and being like 6'1" and like 150 pounds. That's the dichotomy with Ant. He's unbelievably gifted, super confident, but his efficiency can dip under pressure because of the fact that he doesn't have the necessary help that he once had last season. And this is all due to Glenn Taylor. This is due to his leadership. This is due to what has he done since he's been the owner of that team. Somebody tell me. He ruined KG's stint in Minnesota. Basically, KG had to go get glory in Boston, right? So at this point, we look at this situation and we go, thank God there's new leadership in the Twin Cities. Thank God there's somebody who is stewarding this team in the right direction. Oh, and by the way, as a little caveat, Tim Connelly is more likely to stay on board with the ownership of Laurie and A-Rod than he was with Glenn Taylor, because he had restructured his contract for his contract to end at the end of this season. Let's move along to the Lakers. They signed Alex Len. They waived Christian Wood. This is a yawn fest for me. Okay. If you watch the Lakers tape, it's obvious they love the small ball lineups with LeBron as the pseudo center, or if you want to call Rui Hachimura the pseudo center, you can do that. Jackson Hayes has shown flashes as a rim runner, but he is still absolutely raw. He does not rebound well at all, and his rim protection, albeit spectacular, it's very inconsistent. So, enter Alex Len. And you say, well, what is he going to give us, Vince? Well, let me tell you. He's a serviceable big, and I say that gently and generously. He averages 6.7 points a game, 5.3 rebounds, and just under a block a game. But no one is confusing him with peak Dwight Howard. The data suggests that the Lakers are at their best defensively when they have a true center anchoring them at the rim. Now with AD gone, out there, gone, just gone. He's in Dallas, loving Dallas, but hurt. The problem is that the team that looks good on the floor is the small ball lineup. Now, how much energy does LeBron and Luka have to extend out for this lineup to be as problematic to the opponent that it needs to be? Well, that's gonna be the $64 million question, right? How much energy are those two gonna have to expend? Or are they gonna lean on the offense and just say, to hell with the defense? We got two of the best offensive creators of all time on our team. Let's just do that. They could do that. Now, all this happens because the Mark Williams to Los Angeles for Dalton to connect and the 2031 first round pick unprotected and the 2030 first round pick swap to Charlotte got rescinded. Because Mark Williams comes here, does the physical, people freak out like they saw the Elephant Man in his x-ray, like some real outlandish stuff or something. I don't know, but from whatever people say about the situation, it always sounds dire. It's like, hey, what did you hear about them? Oh yeah, not good, just all that. So where do the Lakers go from here? Well, they're going to be fun. We're going to see what Luka, LeBron, and Austin can do. We are going to hope that Dorian Finney-Smith is enjoying some time off and getting well rested, because we will need his defense. And we also hope that the injury to Jackson Hayes when he left in the last game of before the All-Star break, that was not serious and he'll be back. Because we need some sort of rim protection. But let's be straight. Let's be real. Whatever Luka and LeBron bless us with in the postseason, we're all going to be not worthy of it, but we are going to enjoy the absolute living hell out of it. Are we going to get a 40 plus point game from Luka in the playoffs? Probably. Are we going to have some kind of sick triple double from LeBron? Probably. Are they going to get to the Western Conference Finals? I have no idea. Zero clue. But we'll find out. And last thing on Baseline Buzz before we get to Around the Arc is that Herb Jones is likely out for the season. He's out with a shoulder injury. His three-point shooting had gone into the tank, and it looked like there was some sort of AC joint damage that they needed to go ahead and get squared away. But I will say this, and it's just terrible. New Orleans has just nothing but a dark cloud hanging over them. Their whole roster needs to be on a spa retreat. Somebody needs to pray to the basketball gods that somebody else doesn't get hurt. Or David Griffin needs to sign the actual Avengers to field a basketball team so they won't get hurt. Because you're dealing with demigods and superheroes. I don't know. Because between Zion's injuries, Ingram's relocation to Toronto, Herb's injury, and all the other numerous injuries that happened, I haven't even talked about the DeJounte Murray injury. You get an idea that, I'm going to tell you right now, David Griffin must be sitting back there and going like, what did I do? What did I do earlier in my life that gives me all this sorrow right now? That man must be going to all kinds of voodoo princesses to get this curse off him. All kinds. Alright. Last but not least, we're saving this one for last. We save the best for last. Let's have some fun. Alright. We have come up with are tiers of teams and their chances to do some damage in the playoffs. We have paired them with some of the finest TV that we can possibly put in this podcast. We have combined nothing but success with more success and collaborate them together. It's great. You're going to love it. Buckle up. It's going to be fantastic. So, all right. For everybody out there, this is the first time that Frontrunner Podcast Collective is doing tiers. And you might say to yourself, Vince, you know we love tiers. This is why I'm giving it to you. I'm giving it to you, but I got to do it my way. Not only are we going to give you tiers, we are pairing up your NBA teams with some of the most iconic TV over the last 15 years. So we're giving you where they are in the tier group and also their comparison to a TV show. So not only we giving you the best of both worlds. So we got tier 1, the championship contenders. And I'm going to tell you right now, I only have 3 teams in my tier 1. The first one up, we go to the Plains, baby. We go to Oklahoma City. And that's where the Thunder preside. And one of the reasons why the Thunder are one of the teams that I consider a championship contending team, their defensive rating is 104.2, which is number 1 in all of the NBA. Oh, by the way, they lead the league in deflections per game. It's like a bunch of wild dogs out there. I get everybody wants to talk about the Thunder like there's some cute underdog story, but there aren't. This team is scary as hell. Not just on defense. They have a top tier MVP candidate in SGA, who's having a absolutely incredible season. And there's nothing scrappy about their lockdown defense that they bring to the table every single night. It is not a happy accident or a slow moving takeover. The Oklahoma City Thunder are here. But I will tell you, they remind me a lot of Ted Lasso. This team. A lot of they do the whole like team, the group interview at the end of the game when they win. You know, the whole team comes together. So not only the dude that is supposed to get it, he got all his boys with him. They run in packs. It's like you don't see like 2 of them together. You see 6 of them together. I don't know what Sam Christie is doing over there, but he must be running some sort of legal Ponzi scheme with all these damn draft picks that he continues to accumulate. This man, over the next 6 years, has about 27% of the draft over the next 6 years. Think about it. You got Chet, you got SGA, you got J-Dub, you got Hartenstein, you got Lou Dort, Cason Wallace. Aaron Wiggins is a revelation. You're paying him next to nothing. Oh, and then you still got a plethora of first round picks. I'm telling you, Sam Presti is some sort of like evil genius dude. We're going to find out that dude is part of some sort of like cabal or something. I'm trying to tell you. Alright, next up, Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's give love to the Midwest. The Rust Belt is cooking. You know what I'm saying? 44-10. Offensive rating 122.5. Number 1 in threes made. And if you told me last summer that the Cavs would have the best offense in the league, you would have looked at me and said that the Matrix sequels were underrated, and yet here we are. Mitchell, Garland, Mobley, and the best shooting team outside of Boston. The defense is just good enough because Mobley has stepped it up there. And this team is winning games by workspace team offensively. They are killing people. They are absolutely murdering people when they play them. So basically their team to me reminds me of Stranger Things. Because remember last year we wanted Evan Mobley to shoot more threes, and now he shoots more threes. So they remind me of the Upside Down in Stranger Things. Just saying. Did you have Cleveland Cavaliers as the Eastern Conference final, or the Eastern Conference number 1 team going into All-Star break? Was that on your bingo card? Wasn't on mine. Because the next team in the top tier championship contending group is the Boston Celtics. And the Boston Celtics are 39-16. They have a net rating of still positive 9.1, which is still elite. They also boast top 5 defense and offensive ratings. So Boston is the closest thing we have to a functional empire in the NBA. No drama, no dysfunction, just ruthless, methodical destruction. Tatum and Brown has looked very, very bored this season so far. And Drew Holiday and our guy, Derek White. Derek White, they look a little worse for the wear. You know what I'm saying? Because of the Olympic situation. But I will say this. Drew Holiday reminds me of Tom Walgans of Succession. Awkward, elite, and always at the right place at the right time. This team is built for a deep playoff run. I'm telling you right now, I know a lot of people are sitting there scratching their heads going like, what the hell happened? Why are they not taking these games seriously? Well, they played 100 games last year. Number one, everybody named Mama went to the Olympics. Number two. And number three, they didn't have any real like additive pieces to the team that brought like this new spark to the team. They brought basically their whole team back. So if you bring your whole team back, yeah, you're gonna get a little bored in the middle of the season. I understand. It's cool. Now, our next tier is tier 2, and this is if things break right, they could be scary. And the first team in this group, and this team might be controversial to a lot of people, is the Denver Nuggets. Now, the Denver Nuggets usually is in that top tier. They're in that contender championship status. But this year, it's been a little shaky. Now, they're riding a 7-game winning streak. I will say that. They didn't have any trades. They didn't have any drama. Is there any panic? Well, Michael Malone is probably panicked because he's been like crying for veterans forever. You know what I'm saying? But Jokic is still doing MVP things. Our guy Jamal Murray had a 55-point game. He finally looks completely in shape and ready to go. Michael Porter Jr. low-key has had a great year. So it looks like the offense is starting to come around. And it also looks like Jokic has dialed back the production a little bit. Less shots. More efficiency. Being able to pick and choose his moments. This is going to be scary. You know who the Denver Nuggets remind me of? The Good Place. Quirky little comedy. You know, a lot of pieces that you think that shouldn't fit together, but do. Why is Ted Danson and Christian Bale on the same damn show? I don't know. But it worked. It was funny. I enjoyed it. So, the Denver Nuggets remind me of the Good Place. Now, the next team on they are scary enough to challenge the contenders, but ultimately might need a little something is the Memphis Grizzlies. Now, the Memphis Grizzlies are 7th in defensive rating at 110.8. They dumped Marcus Smart's money and added flexibility. And I will say this. Memphis doesn't operate like other contenders. They aren't throwing away picks at big names. They're grinding through the margins like a team trying to outlast a cartel. You know what I'm saying? That's what they're doing. This front office makes small, smart moves, and somehow they still stay a top 3 team in the West. They just got rid of a bunch of playoff know-how in Marcus Smart. They also let Jake LaRavia go too. But they got G.G. Jackson. The kid Wells is playing phenomenal. Zach Edey is still 7'4" and still a problem when you try to go to the rim. Now, the key to the Grizzlies is Ja. And the in and out stuff, this is why the Memphis Grizzlies remind me of Ozark. First of all, big Jason Bateman fan, number one. Highly underrated actor. Has had an incredible career. But Ozark was one of those real, like, gritty shows. A lot of, like, should I or shouldn't I? A lot of what would you do in this situation? And we've seen Ja when he's been left to his own devices. What do you do in this situation? Well, sometimes those decisions haven't been great. Sometimes they've been great. Sometimes they've been spectacular. But we've also seen injuries. And we've seen a lot of other stuff. So, here's the other thing, too. This team operates like they're hiding money in offshore accounts. They always got something cooking. Like, who saw the Marcus Smart trade? Like, and for the reason. You would think you would want to keep the veteran leadership on the team. And yet, they said, no, Jalen Wells is playing very well. We like him a lot. And we want to go ahead and develop him. And we're going to move Marcus Smart right on out of here. And it was done with precision. And it was done with coldness. And this is what you got to be in the NBA. So our guy, Zach Kleiman, doing big things in Memphis. Shouts out to our guy, Tayshaun Prince, also in Memphis. That front office gets it done every year. And one of these years, they're going to break through. I swear to God. But I think so. Now, we get to the Knicks. And I know there are my Knicks fans out there. I know you guys are mad. You're saying, hold on, Vince. You're telling me that the mighty New York Knickerbockers are a team that is like on the cusp, but they're going to be scary but not get it done? I'm telling you that. And this is the reason why. I'll tell you exactly why. Your offensive rating is 119.6, which is second in the NBA. That is absolutely stellar. That is magnificent on every level. Your defensive rating, on the other hand, is 113.7, and that is 17th in the NBA. And we all know the rule. If you are not top 10 defense and offense, you don't win no championship. So, I don't care how Carl Thomas is shooting threes. The Knicks can blow the doors off any opponent offensively. But can they lock down enough on defense when it matters? Brunson is clutch as hell. But do we still have questions about Karl Anthony Towns and their rim protection? Enter Mitchell Robinson. Still waiting. We're still waiting. By the way, January is when he was supposed to come back, huh? Hold on. By my calculations, we're in the middle of February, right? Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there. Now, for them to be an actual contender, we're going to need to see Mitchell Robinson on the court. We're going to need to see them be able to solve this defensive mystery, which is called rim protection. I would say this about them is that their offense is going to look incredible. There are going to be so many dynamic nights out there, but I think there's going to be some games where they're going to have to win at 125 to 120. Now this leads us to our third tier, and I have never been somebody who placates to fan bases, so I can't wait for the response to this. Tier 3. We are on to something here. The first team on Tier 3 is your Los Angeles Lakers. The Lakers enter the All-Star break at 32-20. They are 12-3 in their last 15 games. Luka Doncic is a Laker. LeBron James is still a Laker with his old ass. And JJ Redick seems to be a really good coach. But this is classic Lakers, right? The biggest stars, the biggest trades, and somehow it always works. The Luka and LeBron duo already looks good. I mean, when you get 37 points in the first quarter in your first game with those two, you knew something was going to be different. Now, they still have to figure out the defensive void left by Anthony Davis. But right now, they can steamroll the opponents that they need to beat. Like, they're coming out of break and they're playing Charlotte. They should beat the crap out of Charlotte. But we will see what this team looks like against the better teams in the NBA, right? We want to see them against the Denvers. We want to see them against the OKCs and what have you. And when we get towards the end of February is when the hard part of the schedule kicks in. They're going to be playing teams that are inside the playoff as of right now. So can't wait towards the end of February to see what this team looks like. Plus also, hopefully by that time, Luka, he's played in a couple games. He's off for like 6 weeks. He's going to need to get his air. He's going to need to get his lungs back, and it takes time. So can't wait to see what it all looks like. I'm not stressing on whether it's playoff or bust or whatever the case may be. Now, I will say this. If you wanted to ask me what the Lakers, what they compare as, they compare to the House of Dragons. And I'll tell you why. Because there was a king, and his name was King James. And then along came another guy, and his name is Luka Doncic. And within 24 hours, Luka asked for a rim running big that he could throw lobs to. Now, I know the trade was called off, but the Lakers got Luka a rim running big that he could throw lobs to. Man, look how the communication, how easy it was right there. There are some people in the LeBron camp that are monitoring that situation. So, never a dull moment here in LA. Never, 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 never. Alright, we move along to the Minnesota Timberwolves. And one of my favorite players in the league, Anthony Edwards, who has hit 227 threes. First in the NBA. And Edwards is now undoubtedly the face of Minnesota basketball, no doubt. He's fully embraced the chaos. Some nights they look like a top 5 team in the league. Some other nights they look like they forgot how to play basketball altogether. Their defense is still strong, but the offense fluctuates because of the fact that they don't have the spacing they once did. Mike Conley has taken a step back, and it's a lot on Anthony Edwards. Minnesota Timberwolves remind me of the Bear. So that show, the Bear, the cooking show there, y'all know that. So Ant is basically too talented for these problems. You know what I'm saying? That the dude in the bear was his name Carmi. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I'm too talented for these problems. Y'all figure out y'all cap. Y'all figure out why y'all trading people that help me. I'm gonna be over here getting buckets. I'm gonna be over here dunking on people. I'm gonna be over here talking trash to people, telling them how much better I am than them. When y'all get it together, we'll start winning again. Another team in this list is the Houston Rockets. H-Town, represent. Defensive rating, 109.3, fourth of the league. I'm going to tell you right now, Ime Udoka, super excited about that. Ime has these guys fighting like their lives depend on it every single night. They're stacking assets, developing young stars, and playing top-tier defense along the way. They aren't the title favorites, but yes, they're building something terrifyingly sustainable. Because you know what? Defense travels. And they got like 8 dudes that like to play defense. And it's crazy. I'm sure this is the team that Ime Udoka always envisioned in Boston that he never got to coach. But now he has it. They still need an offensive guy. I don't think they have real sustainable offense on their team right now. If you are giving the ball to Jalen Green in crunch time, you are asking for issues. You are asking for problems. Van Vliet has been hurt lately, so hopefully once he comes back, he can kind of just settle down the team and get them into just respectable offense. But they are going to look to probably make some changes to this team in the off season. I think we'll start to flesh out what this team is going to look like in the next iteration of when Houston becomes a real contender. So there is that. And I'm going to leave you on this note because we don't talk about this team enough. The Detroit Pistons. And the reason why I want to talk about the Detroit Pistons is because of the fact that nobody saw this coming. The Pistons were a walking disaster last year. Now they're above 500, and they're looking like a real playoff team. Cade Cunningham is a stabilizing force for everything that the Detroit Pistons want to do. Jalen Duren finally looks like he actually can play basketball again, which was great because early in the season he struggled mightily. It was terrible. Now here's the other thing. Here's the one thing that I want to tell. This is the reason why we're talking about the Detroit Pistons today, and this is why I want to leave you on a good note on a feel good Friday. Because ladies and gentlemen, Jesus is alive. You know why Jesus is alive? Because for the first time since 2008, I'll say it again, the first time since 2008, the Detroit Pistons are over 500 at the All-Star break. We got kids that have gone through school, like all levels of school except college, and not seen the Detroit Pistons at the All-Star break be over 500. How is that even possible? But that's what we're seeing. That is what we're seeing. So when you talk to me about the Detroit Pistons and what kind of team they are and what kind of a TV show they are, of course the Detroit Pistons are euphoria. Of course the Detroit Pistons was the hottest teenage show ever to be on TV. I know the old people will tell you Dawson's Creek and all this other stuff, but the euphoria, the just the scope of that show, how many stars it created and everything like that, and just the buzz that it created around it, right? The pure chaos around it. And now you got Cade Cunningham out here doing incredible things. He's being like basically what would be the best terminology for this? He is a Kohl's brand Luka. I don't want to disrespect Cade Cunningham and call him Costco, because that's disrespectful to my guy Cade. So if Luka is Bloomingdale's and Saks Fifth Avenue. Cade is like Nordstrom's Rack. He's Nordstrom's Rack Luka. 25 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. He's an all-star. He also lost Jaden Ivey to a horrific injury. But credit to Trajan Langdon, their player personnel guy, and also credit J.V. Bickerstaff, who left Cleveland because he couldn't get them over the hump. But he's got this Detroit Pistons team playing competitive basketball and looking like an actual playoff team. So kudos to the Detroit Pistons. Kudos to them being over 500 during the All-Star break. So with that being said, we talked about a lot of great things today. We talked about TV shows. We talked about trades. We talked about technology changes. We talked about Luka being a Laker, which I will never, ever, ever forget. You on this feed on Monday. Deuce.